What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the day after. And I think, besides the game, what Spalletti had to say before the game and after the game is what is the most impressive thing of the night, because he spoke as a person who understands Juve. And be it can be all an act to win over the players, but what he's been saying for the last couple of days and what he said pre-game and post-game is what Juve is about. That's what I've always said coming on. There are certain standards at the club that should be respected. Even though we're removed of those standards, we cannot forget about the standards. And he was very honest, very open, and extremely harsh maybe on players, not directly, but indirectly, and some of them will know. And I think there's also a clear message to the club, and I think in agreement with the club, that whatever is going to flop right now, whoever is not going to go with the flow right now, is going to fall out of the boat and is going to leave in the summer. I thought that was a statement because he talked about the Scudetto, he talked about the players and the pressure at this club, he talked about why he played coat binders in this position, and it's actually golden what he had to say. Actually, I'm impressed, just purely because it's the first time I hear a coach of Juve speak like this in ages. But before we get into it, smash the like button. As always, do that right now. Important for the channel. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification. But we won. So I mixed quotes pre-game and post-game from him, and they were impressive. I'll read out the first part because I have a two-parter. The first part, he said, talking with the ownership from the outside, the club looks impressive. The headquarters, the training grounds. But once you're inside, you realize you haven't seen anything yet, because being at this level isn't easy and some players struggle with it. We need to grow quickly. You can already see the potential in these players, but the weight of being at Juve makes them feel the pressure of the level they have to play at, and some of them struggle with that. He said, we're called Juventus. Our comparison must always be with our history. We have to give our all until mathematics says otherwise. And that was a Scudetto part. When he said that, I almost shed a tear. I almost shed a tear because I've heard Juve coaches recently talk about top four, top four, top four. It gives the players an excuse. That's why, going back to Venezia, we beat Venezia on the final match day to finish fourth. And I see the captain of this club, Locatelli, crying. And I was like, what the hell is going on? This is actually insane. Like, that should be tears of pain rather of joy. He said, last part, the history of the club, that's what we should be comparing ourselves to. That should be the goal. That is the standard. And we need to get back to that standard. Not of this top four bullshit, being happy about it. Winning is the standard. He also talked about the title. He said, this is Juve. Why should we not be looking to win? Because he was asked, should you close the gap towards Napoli because they drew against Coleman? He said, yeah, it's the history of Juve. We are Juve. That's the goal, to be in a fight, in a competition, to win things. It's as simple as that. And then the impressive part is what he talked about, not directly, but he's saying some players cannot deal with the pressure playing for this club. Cambiasso came out and said, some of you guys are too quick to criticize us. No, we're not. It's like Spalletti is saying, this is the standard of the club, and the fans and everybody has every good right to talk about these standards, to point to these players and say, this is the standard you need to perform at. Otherwise, you shouldn't be at this club. That's what he is saying. When he said that, I was like, this is crazy that he's talking about it. He said pre-game, I played the best players because I want to win the game. I want to play the best football. And for now, one training session, I think these are the best players and I'm putting them out there. It's putting everyone on notice. Everyone who's on the bench basically knows right now you need to do better, because from day one, what I've seen, the players I put out there are my first choice for now. So you guys go out there in training sessions and improve and show that you should be starting over the other guys. This is a strong statement, in my opinion. It's a real statement. It's something I've been talking about for ages and ages. When people make a good point of saying, oh, we cannot compare us to 2016. Yes, we don't have the same squad, etc. However, I was always talking about the mindset. When people talked about, Gatti is good enough for this team, etc., and I pick out Gatti or Colt Miners, whatever, I'm like, No, they're not good enough for Juve because the level is that. That's what he's saying. Some players cannot deal with the pressure. And at the end of the day, we need to compare ourselves to that Juve. And you need to deal with it. He said we need to grow quickly. And he's basically saying some players who cannot deal with it, who cannot go with the flow, who cannot live up to the standard that Juve should be, are not going to be here, are not going to play, and cannot be part of this squad. And that, for me, is more impressive than any win. That a coach, I don't know if Spalletti is going to succeed or flop. We don't know that. It's match day one training session, who knows? But the fact that he comes out and he makes it abundantly clear towards the players and the fan base that the standard should be the standard no matter our situation. The goal should be the old Juve, the real Juve, not this, not top four, etc., whatever, you know. The goal is to win and be at the level of this club. That's the first part he talked about. The second part is the coal miners thing, because before when the lineup came out and people were like, "What the hell is going on?" I had nothing really to say about the lineup because it's like, what is he going to do? I kind of predicted that he's not really going to change a lot, and he didn't really change a lot, to be honest. But the Colt Miners thing was probably a shock. He played him basically as left center back, and he said putting Colt Miners there is a message to the players. You don't go into these matches to defend. You go to attack and win. He said, in my opinion, we played a good match. I'm very, very happy. We made some mistakes. There were moments when the ball rolled across the goal 4 or 5 times and no one managed to put it in. But at least we got there. We pressed until the end. We pushed up. We stayed in the game. At times we suffered, but I'm happy with the team. That is a bold statement. You also said about Colt Miners, he played there already, in the past. He did very well. He said, like, he stood out for things he probably shouldn't have been standing out, but he was excellent. He said he was directing the players in front of him. He was directing them into, areas of the pitch where they needed to be. And he said if we asked him as well to step up a little bit onto the pitch, he would probably helped us outnumber Cremonese in midfield and open up opportunities, but we didn't do that for now. He basically said, this is a message to the team. We go to Cremonese, to a Verona, to a Genoa, to a Pisa, or to an Udinese, whatever, to a Sassuolo, to attack and win those games, not to defend. That is the goal. That's why I put Colt Miners there, because he's not really a center back, but I'm going to put him there. And the second part of the quote is basically telling us from time to time, or next week, the following week, if I put Colt Miners in that position again, I'm going to ask him to step up in midfield, to be more attacking, to take more risk. And we're going to need to deal with it because that's going to be our mindset. The mindset is to go to these places and attack to win rather than to be cautious and still end up not winning. And he also said it's going to take some time. These things don't happen overnight. But the message is clear. It's a strong message. He's telling us the standard of Juve is this. Some of these players may not live up to it. However, we will figure it out down the road. And at the end of the season, we will make up a balance sheet and we will say these players should be at the club, these players shouldn't be at the club. And that's it. Wrap it up and we move on. That is the message he's sending to the team and the fan base. The level should be that. The standard should be that. Otherwise, we will never get back to the real Juve. If we keep making excuses and say, "Oh, they're good enough for now, let's keep him, etc., good squad player," no. At the end of the day, you're good enough for the real Juve or you're not. And if you're not, we move on because we need good enough to get back to that real side. On the Scudetto, he said, we're Juve. This is it. Why should we shy away from it? We should be in a title, or we should be aiming to fight for the title. And that's it. He said, it's an obvious question you're asking me. When you're at Juve, that is the goal, and we need to deal with it. As simple as that. Do we believe we're going to win the title? No. Does he think we're going to win the title? Probably not deep inside, but he's going to try to convey that to the players and the fans that, well, that should be the mindset week in, week out. Vlahovic came out, for example, he said in the second half, we fell into old habits. That cannot happen. He said it's weird that it happens, but we need to step away from that as well. So a lot of positives, means nothing. Again, you beat Cremonese and Udinese, not the best of teams, but still, for us, it's already impressive this moment in time. It's already a shock or a surprise. Now with Sporting, must win to stay in the Champions League, really. And that's where we're going to see who we really are, and if we're made up from the right stuff, and then we will see where we go into the derby. But I think the statements are strong. Even if he's not the right guy, he set the standard, and I hope everyone will accept that, from fans to players to the club right now. Otherwise, we're going to be in this situation for many, many years to come. It's as simple as that. Anyways, people, thanks for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. There will be no live today because I have something to do, so apologies for that. I will be live on Monday, and then we'll build up to Sporting as we usually do. Anyways, thanks for watching. Appreciate it, and speak to you guys tomorrow.